We're going to get going on this, right? We can do hard things.
We can do it. We can do it.
All right. Beliefs. Each of us have beliefs, and we see our beliefs as our truths. They are true to us. That's why we believe them. Having a strong conviction of your beliefs about something limits your ability to see anything that contradicts your reality. And we're going to talk about that with our reticular activating system momentarily, but that is true to us. We only see what we perceive, what we believe. And knowing that your subjective mind influences your objective world.
So beliefs matter. Choice is the one law for humanity. We have our free agency. And nobody can take that away from you unless you're thrown in the hoosh gal, but even then you have choices you can make. And every choice you make is based upon your belief system, and your own belief in yourself and what you've done. So beliefs of unworthiness will block your success. Beliefs of scarcity will limit your ability to make money. Beliefs in being unlovable pushes away potential relationships. Beliefs of health or disease either upregulates or downregulates our gene expression. So we've got to be very careful what our belief system is.
There we go. So before, don't read the screen yet. I'm going to have you do an experience with us, and Scott's going to join you as an example. But this experience, it's helpful that you don't read the screen. I have this up so that you can reference in a moment. But stand up if you can, and place your feet shoulder width apart, and lift one arm out straight. Now I want you to take that arm and turn as far as you can. Then mark that point. See how far you can go comfortably, but mark the point of how far you went. Mentally place your attention on that spot. Now come back to center and close your eyes. Now, with your eyes closed, see yourself standing, feet together, shoulder width apart. You've lifted up your arm, and you see behind you going 20% further, maybe 30%. 30% further. See that in your mind's eye and feel that experience, and now take a moment and do it again. You will notice that you actually went significantly further the second time around. Now, what kept us from doing that before? If we went to our comfortable level before, was it our body or was it our mind? We all know that it was our mind that actually has the potential to increase our capacity in everything that we do once we believe that we can.
So our reticular activating system, or the RAS, controls our sleep, wake, and attention, and it aligns to what we believe, and it filters out everything we do not believe to be true. So when you are stuck in your past, the RAS leans backward, believe it or not, and when you're moving forward, it moves forward. And this area of the brain focuses on what you value, bypassing all other information. So your beliefs in your subconscious are what drives the reticular activating system. Boy, I tell you, this clicker is having trouble. We're going to get everything just fine. There we go.
Okay, but making changes in our life and wanting to upgrade where we are, we have to recognize that everybody has fears. But it isn't the fear that is stopping us from having the success that we desire. It's what we believe that is stopping that. So when we have something that we want to make an improvement in our life or make a change, and there's zero evidence in our outer world that this can happen for us, when we don't have anybody in our life who has done it before, and we haven't had the upbringing that shows that these kind of things are possible, there are 4 things that we suggest that helps you get to that next level. Now, the first step is to have a clear intention. If you don't have a clear intention, you're sending very scrambled signals to the quantum field, to the energy around
To the
you.
universe.
You are sending mixed signals, and so it's like turning the radio dial and just getting static, because sometimes we have a desire for this, and then, oh, I don't think I'm good enough, and then all of these stories get in our way. So if we don't have a clear intention, the universe doesn't know what to hand back to us. Remember that the energy field around us is neutrality. It's only responding to vibration and frequency. So whatever we are projecting is what it's going to give back to us. Now, secondary is you have to let go of the beliefs and emotions that it can't be yours. Everybody has a story about why we are where we are and why we've accomplished to our limitation. And we tend to reinforce our scarcity mentality and try to protect ourselves from moving forward for the story of why we do that. So we have to let those things go and do some emotional work around that. Then elevate the state of being and align with your desires. What is that individual of what you want to be? Who is that new person? And how does that person behave in their day-to-day activities? What are the decisions that they make when they are having business deals? Or what kind of education have they gained? What kind of emotional state do they maintain? How do they respond in their relationships? All of these things are crucial to become the new elevated self. And then visually create what you desire and keep it sustainable in your application. It's not a one and done thing, and it's not like placing a beautiful person with Maserati and a great vacation on your vision board and walking away and saying, well, there it is. See, I knew that it wasn't going to work, because we didn't do the sustainable work to make that happen. So visualizing it, because as we'll remember a few times throughout this, your brain doesn't know whether it's right or not. It's only responding to you. So if it's real to you, you create that reality and it becomes real in your field around you.
So a technique for overcoming fears: write out in detail your top 10 fears, but don't stop there. List them according to how severe they're affecting your body, affecting your mind, and affecting your emotions. And what's the story around these fears? So you want to list the top one at the top and then go down for the other 10. List all 10 first and then list them according to how severe they're affecting you. And then you take the top one. What evidence in your story is around this fear? And what evidence in your past supports your fear? And write out another perspective. What else can be true? And you need to focus on what you can shift in that fear and change it.
Right, because if we are only seeing things from our perspective, we have to recognize there's a potential other story. So what else can be true? And keeping your attention on what else can be true expands possibilities. So creating change. I think that many people recognize they want to be different than where they are. If you are super happy with where your life is, with your health, your relationships, your financial status, your career, your family, great. That's fantastic. We should all be some level of joy or at least some level of happiness with our life. But
I'm happy for you if everything's good like that.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. So anyway, we'll go from here and get clarity on what you want. Again, we need to have that level of clarity, and it helps to write that down. Writing it down, again, keeps your brain on this level of attention. Now, why do we want it? We want to build the momentum around that so that we don't get distracted. Even the things that are super important, say if you are in a healing crisis and you want so bad to feel better and you want so bad to get out of pain, how much attention are you really giving this to create the change that you want? Usually we go into disempowering statements and beliefs and we give up because we show that there's evidence in our outer world saying, see, I haven't arrived, so it doesn't work for me. And those are disempowering and not healthy at all. So why do we want that? Then the next level is, how would you feel once you accomplish this goal? This elevated state of being, if we're not in that elevated state of being, and compared to where we are now, that gap is what's keeping us from attaining that level that we are seeking. So what is that elevated state of being? Next, visualize an experience with all of your senses, that accomplished state of being. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a financial goal or some kind of stepping stone that you're wanting to accomplish. Maybe it's just a skill that you want to enhance. Maybe it's coming back to clutter, like we've talked about in past trainings. Maybe it's just having a better state of order in your life or better health. But visualize this experience, and how does using all of your senses to make that happen, and remembering that your brain doesn't know whether it's real or imagined, so create it.
Now there's two laws of learning: association and repetition. Now we associate any new incoming information, our brain associates it with what we already know. And so we relate to it with association and what the brain already knows. And to become something new, we need to read, learn, and observe different situations, and then we can associate it with new things. Now, repetition is where we memorize, or we become more prone to do what we're learning. And so repetition is what I had to do in medical school. We had to go through and just memorize everything through repetition. And we'd associate it with the systems in the body and the different emotions in the body. And repetition is how we build new synaptic connections, because we're repeating it, and our brain has to go through the process of connecting those new synaptic connections. Now, association is how we learn, but repetition is how we remember.
That's right. And if we don't repeat that, then those synaptic connections will, over days or months, they will start to actually come apart. But have you ever had those times in your life where you're trying and you never really accomplish what you want, and you're always in that trying mode but never really achieving? We have to recognize a few things. One, change takes courage, it takes consistency and gentle kindness to ourselves. We're becoming a new person all of the time when we're in that state and that scrambling and not really arriving. We have to be gentle with ourselves, because our state of being is changing, and it may have taken our entire life to get to this level that we were already at. But in order to be where you want to be, you must be willing to set down an old identity. So recognize this part of who I am today is vastly different than I was 5 years ago. And who I'm going to be in 5 years is also going to be vastly different. But it takes compassion of self when we're moving through that. Remembering that thinking positive isn't what works. It just having that, now it's great to think positive and having affirmations, but we're focused on the conscious mind when we're doing that. And all of our programs and our beliefs, which is 95% of who we are, is in our subconscious.
Do you want to do this?
Okay, I'll do this one.
Go ahead and do this.
So if you've heard about the 4-minute mile, in 1980s, it was
in the 1880s.
In the 1880s, this was a standard that they felt was impossible for man to get to. It was the benchmark of impossibility. And so from the 1880s, it was thought that no man could ever run a 4-minute mile. Now, in 1954, Roger Bannister changed history by doing that. He did an enormous amount of research. He was a neuroscientist, and he was obviously a fantastic athlete. And he was able to beat that marker that was thought impossible. Now, what's magic about this and why it's noteworthy is because it only took 46 days for that record to be broken again. And today, we have nearly 1,700 people who have accomplished this. This is now a gold standard and a goal that people set for themselves, which is vastly different. And so why does this matter? Because once evidence is that it was possible for one person, it becomes possible for the whole. And having that understanding and seeing that it was possible for somebody else makes it possible for you as well.
So progress requires the example of others who've done it before. And that's why we even have people like us helping get emotional trauma out of your life, because it takes practice, it takes consistency, it takes mindset training, it takes emotional management, and a personal awareness to progress in your life and become a better, smarter, more healthy emotionally human being.
But challenges do exist in our world. And my favorite analogy about the challenges that happen is crabs in the bucket. Now, we all have people in our life that are the crabs in the bucket. They tend to just pull us down. And this theory behind this is anybody who is gathering crabs, they know that if they put a single crab in that bucket, it will be able to escape. So they always need at least 2 crabs in there, because crabs will always pull one another down. Now, left to their own devices and on their own terms, they will eventually make their way out. However, when there's others around them, it is constantly pulling that other crab back down into the bucket. There's also family limited beliefs. Our families all have limited beliefs, whether we recognize them or not. Some of those could be money doesn't grow on trees, or only beautiful people get nice cars. I'm just making this up, but we all have some level of beliefs that we have inherited through our families. There's also social mockery, where we get questioned or doubted, or they do that we will see if they actually accomplish it, but not really trusting that we have that capacity. We may get teased. We may get called, oh, you think you're too good for us now. It's that they disassociate us from the tribe, and fear of no longer fitting in. There's maybe that you don't have enough resources. Now, resources could be time, it could be financial support, it could be people or community. So not having enough resources can increase the challenge. And ultimately, we have to ask ourselves, what if we fail?
But if you ask that, you go into fear.
That's right. Now, this story is, for people who know me really well, they probably have heard this story, but it's impactful in my own progression. Now, seeing this little travel trailer, when I was a young child, there was a block between my home and the bus stop to catch the bus to school. Now, when I would walk that block, there was this trailer that looked almost exactly like this. It was very small, dilapidated, and out in an empty field. There was nothing else around it. But during those years, my mother got really sick, and we almost lost her. She ended up having to have a hysterectomy and had internal bleeding. She had a nervous breakdown. There was a lot of turmoil in our family during those years. And the doctor had called my father and told him to get funeral arrangements made. My mom was in and out of the hospital for about 2 years, and as a 5-year-old, I really needed my mom. There was other dynamics that really, I needed that sense of safety. But I didn't know whether I was going to be safe, because all I knew is my mom was dying. And so walking back and forth to that bus stop, I would shrink my possibilities to, if nothing else, if my dad loses the house and we can't feed our family, if nothing else, I can go here. Now, obviously, as a child mind, we don't have the full capacity of understanding what's going on. But for many years, into my junior high and high school, I would still make that walk to the bus stop, and that trailer was still there. And I reflect back onto that time all the time, because now as an adult, when I have had challenges, specifically when I've nearly lost my husband due to him being sick, and 5 years ago, I caught myself all the time thinking we have to sell the house, we have to sell the business, and going into that scarcity mentality. And I caught myself driving down, running some errands one day, and I was driving through a very nice neighborhood, and a friend of mine had a very elaborate home, a very beautiful home. And I maintained that level of scarcity mentality, because I went into the thinking, not only can I shrink possibilities of nothing else, that this is what I'm capable of if nothing else works. But I also thought, if nothing else, maybe my very good friend would hire me to clean her house, because my mom cleaned people's homes. That's the only reference point that I had. My mom didn't have a high school diploma, and so she was either a waitress or she cleaned homes. And so I thought, if nothing else, I can live in this little trailer and I can work for my friend and clean her toilets. And I caught myself in that space, and I literally pulled over and I thought, my goodness, 45 years later, I was still telling that same story. And there comes a point when the story is bigger than the experience, when something is in your face. And so shifting this possibility of where we go into scarcity and where we go into limitation, because when we're in fear, when we've talked about your possibilities shrink, and not only do your possibilities shrink around you, but your mind can only see the most limited possibility. And so the biggest training that I've had to do for myself, and I'm trying not to cut to the chase, but I've caught myself saying, if nothing else, and moving my attention bigger. If nothing else, and I have to sell this house, then I can have a house that makes me happier. Or if nothing else, and I have to get another job, then I can get a job with greater benefits. And making those little shifts and not going into scarcity mentality is a game changer.
Very important. So our beliefs and the meaning of those beliefs cycle. They cycle through our lives, and an event or a trigger can make us assign meaning to these different parts of the cycle. And then we get an emotional response. Sometimes it's a good one, sometimes it's not so good. And then we have a reaction or behavior. So our beliefs lead to emotions and then lead to behaviors, which creates our reality.
So over time, our reactions and our experiences become our state of being. Now, we may have a day where something happened and somebody cut us off, or somebody said kind of a harsh comment to us, or was crunchy with their responses to us, and it shifted our state of being momentarily. And maybe you had a disagreement with a partner or a loved one, and for a few days you just feel off. Well, over time, if you repeat those cycles of thinking and feeling, you create a new state of being. Our thinking and feeling eventually becomes the behavior of what we are. So when we are in this negative cycle, we will create a state of being of somebody that we don't even really love to be, and knowing that this is also possible on the other side. When you enhance your state of being, you do so by your thinking and feeling.
And this changes your behavior. So
these are all yours, my friend.
Oh, these are all mine. So beliefs are confirmed through authority figures, our parents, our teachers, religious leaders. Someone you view as having authority said it is so. And textbooks, medical journals, if it's written, it must be true. But you know, when I was in medical school, we had a very smart professor get up and tell us, what you're learning today, 50% of it will be proven wrong within 10 years. How did he know this? Because he kept track of all these different things in medicine and how medicine was progressing as they learned new things. And old belief systems got, 50% of it was wrong within 10 years. And so, we need to think about that, because we need to be open to new ideas, new thoughts. Now, religion, through scriptures, doctrines, different religious teachings, say things are so, but are they really that way? And so we need to personally delve in, use critical thinking, and find out if it's true or not. Now, these beliefs, repetition, repeating things over and over, and we get this through the media. It's called the mockingbird thing. where you go to station to station to station. They're all telling you the same thing. But is this a program? So programming is on TV. Is this a program they're trying to program you with? And so we need to look at that repetition and see if what we're repeating really is true. And so my dad always said to me, Scott, always tell the truth. Well, we need to know what's true and what's not. And we do that by critically examining everything. Now, a lot of people get on TV and they're passionate. They have emotion. And they say things with conviction, which is validated by the strong emotions. And people can do this and convince you of different things that may not even be true. So we need to be careful when we watch people with real intensity, whether what they're teaching is true or not. And me and Vicki, we study everything. So we try to stay in the truth arena. We want to teach all of you things that will work, things that work consistently and that will be true 10 years from now. Now, evidence, truth through perception. We all go through different experiences and we bring truths into our life through those experiences, through the evidence that we find as we're going through these experiences. And when they happen again, if the same things happen, we get the repetition. And then if the intensity or happiness comes from it, it's a truth we will want. And so our viewpoint is evidence for the truth. And we need to follow what's true with our hearts, not with our mind. Do you want me to keep going?
I can do this one. We
You
also
do this
confirm
one.
our beliefs through familiarity. When we observe in our environment that other people have had, it's familiar to us. Many of you have heard the story of a daughter is raised into a home and then she gets a new home and she has a ham in the oven and she cuts off the end of the ham and puts it in the oven, and somebody says, well, why do you do this? And she says, well, that's what we have to do. And so they reflect back to mom, and mom says, well, that's what I did because my oven was too small. That was the only option that I had. So it becomes familiar, and it's how it's always been, so it must be true. Another one is logic. Somebody else believes it, so again, it makes sense to them, so obviously it should make sense to me. It becomes, my beliefs are confirmed by that. And ultimately through our identity. Now, our family and social structure, this is more in religious cultures typically, but this applies to all of us. When our level of identity it's induced by our social structure and repeated by others' behaviors towards us, then that is the belief that is so. Now, inherited beliefs. This is something that we really need to look at in order to move forward. Be willing to look into the shadows of your family. Everybody has them. And we have to know that all of us did the best we can in our lifetime, and we have to give that same permission to those of our ancestors. So learn the history of your family and your personal culture. There were lessons that are being brought through your ancestors. And many teachings say that we influence seven generations back and 7 generations forward. So look at the history. What were the lessons and what were the beliefs that your family had? Now, having this understanding doesn't mean that all of the beliefs are bad or good. It's just which ones work for you. Have compassion for what they did and have compassion for what they knew. Maybe they didn't know any better. And when we want everybody to be to a certain standard when we have expectations, but we have to give some level of leeway, knowing that maybe they didn't have the mindset, or maybe they didn't have the emotional skills, or maybe there was some trauma that helped, that maybe they were in survival mode quite more than we realize. And recognizing when we get to that point, have some level of compassion, because there were gifts in those challenges. It was a desire to want something different. It was a desire for change. It was seeing what you no longer want and have a better attention on what you do want. So recognize which ones still serve you and be willing to let go of ones that no longer do.
And you know, we always want what's better for our kids than what we had. And so we try to do better for them, but it doesn't always work that way. So transformation guidelines, you need to align yourself with high quality people, good positive people. Let go of your past and use the emotional release techniques to help you with this, because most of our stuff is emotional that's holding us back from progressing. Our fears, our anxieties, those two things keep you in fight or flight, so you can't progress. Recognize and address mismanaged emotions. That's why you do the list of those 10 emotions. Acknowledge that improvement is possible. You can do better. Yay! And focus on self-care. If you're not taking care of yourself, you can't get feeling better and you can't change your emotions. So you've got to take care of your body, eat right, drink plenty of fluids, get sleep, get exercise, all those basic things. Because if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to progress. You're going to get held back or get sick and not be able to do anything. Incorporate emotional empowerment techniques like what we've been teaching you the last 5 weeks.
But in order to support change, there's a few guidelines that we encourage. The first one is to improve nutrition and water intake. Whatever level you are nutritionally, know that we can always do better. And increasing that water, because we need to have a healthy body and mind in order to make the changes that our body needs to do. And having that extra water helps flush out the toxins and helps clarify for us. Meditation, we're really looking forward to this. One's coming up in a couple of weeks, is the meditation one, and that's going to be a powerhouse. But meditation, everybody knows that having awareness of our state of being is the greatest asset. Exercise, physical exercise, emotions is energy in motion. So having physical exercise helps move that stuck energy out of our body, just like the breath work that we've talked about previously. Getting more sleep. Now, there's a lot of data that says the value of quality sleep. We're shutting everything down, allowing our brain to reset, allowing our body to reset, and always know that there's another day. Maybe we fell from grace today. Like this, starting this today was a little bit edgy for us and certainly not anticipated. So we could go into a shame storm and go, oh gosh, we have to just quit. We're certainly not going to be good. Or we can say, you know what, next time we can do better. We can do a little bit better time management and we can arrive better. So getting better sleep gives us an opportunity to start fresh every day and focusing those moments in the very prime 15 minutes when we are in that bridge between the conscious and the subconscious. That's your creative center, and utilize that center really more than any other time during the day, using tools for self-awareness. Now, one of the best ways to have self-awareness is having company come to your house, which we've had a lot. It's amazing how when other people are in your space, how all of a sudden you notice the dust that you didn't notice before, you notice the way that your just family shows a little bit of chaos, you notice eating patterns. It's really interesting. But using tools for self-awareness and using that contemplation time, I'm like, all right, I can see there's something I can improve upon. And then again, we really want to encourage compassion and forgiveness for self. If we didn't have compassion for where we are, we would fall into a shame storm very quickly. And that's not going to be helpful for anybody.
Yeah, I'm ho'oponopono all the time. And when we get to, oh, I'm sorry, please forgive me. And then I always add, and I forgive myself for this. Because you've got to forgive yourself or you can't move forward. So calming the nervous system during change. Animals, when they're chased by a lion or chased by a bobcat, whatever it is, once they get out of the danger, they'll stop and they'll just kind of start shaking their body. And it helps to release that adrenaline that got them going in the first place. And they take a big deep breath and a sigh breath and a long exhale. Oh, good, I got away from that lion. Now, that helps a lot, but you can also do tapping or the emotional release freedom technique, which is very good to get you back into a calm parasympathetic state and remove some of the trauma. Now, getting out in nature is very relaxing, and as you're out there with the trees, the brush, the water flowing, it calms your system down, puts you in a better emotional state where you actually can work on yourself. And aromatherapy, where you've got good smells around you that helps reset your body, reset your parasympathetic nervous system. Aromatherapy is very good for this. Exercise, getting out and exercising. You know, a lot of people, the reason they go out and run is to get away from all their problems for a while, because they can just focus on running and being peaceful instead of, you know, being in the heaviness of their life. And so exercise is very good. Dancing is an even better way, because when you're moving your body with rhythm to music, it allows your body to get in a parasympathetic state that is happy. And when you're moving your body, like the other night, we went to a party and there was dancing, and we moved our bodies. And when I got home, I felt energized. I didn't care if I went to bed or not, because the dancing actually invigorated me and made me feel better. So these things will help a lot. Massage therapy, very good, being touched by somebody with a loving touch and kindness. And touch therapy, very important, because, you know, whenever you recognize that another human is going to care for you, you always just kind of relax. And if you're not relaxing, you're going to the wrong person. So you need to learn how to relax. And humming or singing lullabies is very good for calming your soul down, calming your body down.
So obviously we're at week 5. This is the throat chakra. The throat chakra is the chakra of willpower. And the energy that is present in this chakra is personal expression, strength of will, judgment, criticism, gossip, addictions, following your dreams, making decisions, and unexpressed emotions, when we tend to hold back what we feel like we need to say. The sacred truth of this chakra is surrendering personal will to divine will.
Very important. So the throat chakra, the emotional deficiencies that come out of not having a fully working throat chakra, is fear of speaking out your truth. You hold things back because you don't want to be made fun of. You don't believe you'll be able to tell the truth, whatever it is. And inconsistency and unreliability come from the throat chakra. Conflicting belief systems happen when your throat chakra isn't working properly and you haven't made repairs on it. Struggle communicating happens because this is your communication device, and the ears are also a part of the throat chakra. And our needs are not met when we have emotional deficiency in our throat chakra, because we don't tell people what we need, what we desire, what we're lacking, either because we're afraid or whatever. But when we have a balanced fifth chakra, we actually hum and sing and do music with ourselves. You'll find, like our daughters, I know they're in a good mood when they're downstairs singing and everything, because they're balanced. Mindful breathing helps balance our chakra, because you're taking in that air and holding it properly and then releasing it and taking a little longer and slower, deeper breaths. That's a sign of a balanced fifth chakra. Now, chanting mantras is very good, because You're using your voice to project out good energy, not only for yourself, but for others. And chanting and toning are very good for the throat chakra. I am declarations come from your voice box. So saying things like, I am the resurrection and the life. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the resurrection and the life, just like Jesus said a couple of times. It's an empowerment statement to help with your throat chakra. And journaling painful past will help you to write it down and burn it up if you need to. So if you've had occasions where you haven't been able to voice your truth, write down your truth and then send it out to the universe. And that helps you express yourself and helps your throat chakra.
So although we have all of these tools, there's things that we have to look at. It's important that we look at the shadows of some of our history so that we know what we're working with. And so some of these shadows or the emotional expression blockers could be that maybe you weren't allowed to express your emotions. Maybe you were mocked as a child or by your peers when you felt, or that you were called too emotional or a crybaby, or maybe your emotions weren't validated as a child. You know, when they say, I'll stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. We've all had those kind of experiences. Maybe you were shamed or criticized for showing your emotions, or looked weak, or maybe felt like you looked weak, or you lacked a sense of belonging. When we don't have a sense of belonging, we don't know where we fit in, we tend to like pull back a little bit. And I'm going to say most people who are on this today, with us today, probably felt like the black sheep of their family or in their environment. And I know that both of us certainly did. And there's still a possibility that we had to manage our parents' or our partner's emotions. When we have to manage the emotions of others, it's all we can do to just keep our attention there. So we tend to shut down our own emotional state in that survival state.
You know, even saying we were the black sheep, actually we were the enlightened sheep because we were trying to follow the spirit. So essential oils, we talk about these each time because essential oils affect our emotions. And eucalyptus and lemon are very good for the throat chakra. It's interesting, you can diffuse the oils, you can apply them to the bottom of your feet, you can apply them right to your throat and your chest, and add them to warm water and drink them down. Yes, you can drink pure essential oils. Make sure they're good organic.
Yeah, no fragrance or synthetics.
Yeah, but eucalyptus is excellent for the respiratory system and the throat system. It can open up the sinuses, open up your breathing, and it helps with muscle fatigue. It helps reduce inflammation. It supports emotional release through the smell. It actually helps to release negative emotions. Lemon is very helpful with depression, low energy. It helps increase your energy. It helps get rid of brain fog. It helps support the left brain, the logical part of the brain. It balances you. It improves your focus. It increases serotonin. And everybody knows lemon oil is really good to detox the liver. And so it'll improve your focus, increase your serotonin. It supports healing sore throats. And it helps you to speak your truth. So if you're having trouble speaking your truth, apply or ingest lemon oil and it will help you with that.
Fantastic. Okay, so we are in the tool for transformation, which is reflective consciousness. Now, I'm not going to ask you to do this experience with me, but I would like for you to write down each one of these steps and do them on your own. But there's a number of steps that are included here. So I'll try to take it slow, but take notes because you'll be able to refer back to this and really dig up some of the shadow stuff of where we are. So number one, identify a disempowered belief. And often those disempowered beliefs, we'll go into detail, But we have to look at those disempowered beliefs and how far they have carried us. And maybe these disempowered beliefs served a purpose for a while. Maybe we felt like they kept us safe. But identify a specific disempowered belief.
Yeah, and they're always attached to an emotion.
Yeah. So then number 2, write why it's a problem. Begin to get your brain to think from a different standpoint. Why is this disempowered belief a problem? What does it cost you, and how long will you keep it? Now that one is really important, because you have to just stand at the mirror of awareness when we have to say, okay, I have this disempowered belief of scarcity as an example. And if I have this disempowered belief, how long do I want to keep this going? So obviously if it's scarcity, it's limiting, it's costing you a lot financially. Then number 3, where did this belief originate? There is always a story around the origination of a disempowered belief. Now, as an example, go ahead and move forward, but as an example, my father, when I was young, my parents divorced after my mom got better. But I was with my father and his other wife, and she wore glasses, and she was never looked at socially as being a very physically attractive person. She just wasn't. Nobody ever looked at her and said that she was very attractive, and so I knew that. And when I was a young child, my dad walked into the room, and I was sitting with my stepmom, and both of us were wearing glasses. And my dad opened the door, he walked into the room, and he just bellows out, "I've always hated women with glasses. I think they're ugly. And now I'm stuck with a daughter with one and a wife who's wearing them too." My stepmom was not a very empowered person, so she just allowed him to say that, but that sunk into my consciousness, that I wasn't pretty, that I certainly, not only that, but my dad was ashamed of me. And the caveat to that was, my dad was a very physically abusive man, and so when I was a baby, he punched me in the eye when I was 3 months old, which damaged my eye, which caused me to wear the glasses. So it's an interesting story around that. But going to number 4, so I'm using this example to follow along. So number 4 is, where do you feel constriction in your body? Just telling that story, I feel constriction in my chest. I feel constriction in my throat, and I can feel the emotion around that. So number 5 is, what is the emotion related to this feeling? It's embarrassment, and it's sadness, and it's shame. Those 3 emotions come up for me when I think about that story. And I can remember every detail of that moment when I was 12 years old. Now, if this belief had a voice, what would a belief say to you? Now, that's something that's going to be different for everybody else. But when I give that belief an opportunity to speak, which I've done, I hear, your dad didn't love himself, and he certainly didn't know how to love others. So just recognizing that can help me remove the burden of carrying that around. So number 7, where is the voice coming from? Because the voice of me not having value, that or feeling shame or any of those language around my father, the voice came from me. It came straight at me in front of me, because my father was standing in front of me. But look on your body. Where does that come from? Does it come from behind? Was there people, and it's possible, somebody was maybe talking smack about you in the past, and you felt an attack, literally felt an attack in your back. Or is it coming from the side, bottom of your feet where you feel ungrounded, or the top of your head? Identify where this is, and if you play with your intuitive nature, you will get some beautiful information. Now again, whose voice is it? In my example, this was my father, that I wasn't beautiful because I wore glasses. And so I know that every one of us had some kind of peer interactions, because school is hard and our peers are mean, even if We hope that they're not, they just are. But where is this voice coming from? And the key to recognize is almost always it was not originating from you, it was from somebody else. So recognize that, and then ask yourself, do you want to keep listening to this voice? Is this voice what you want to hear when you come out into the world and when you try to move forward? Now, I carried that identity, and there's still obviously some of that level with me, but how long do you want to keep listening to this voice to go ahead and move forward? Number 10, now that you have all of this information, take an opportunity and physically, whatever information you need, whatever action you need, physically take that voice and remove it. Whether you just grab it or pull it or just stomp on it or whatever. Don't cause physical harm to the body. That we're not going to hit anything on the body because we need to love ourselves. But physically grab that voice, take an opportunity to look at it. You can have compassion or you can just be completely neutral, and with your hand pull it away and remove it from your body. This signals your brain that this isn't a truth. This signals your brain that it's no longer your identity. And we may have to do this a number of times. We're going back to the reticular activating system. So maybe it takes a moment to keep doing this, but release it with action because your brain will believe it as if it is so. Then number 12, check in. Is the voice still there? Did it move? Was there more to say? Pay attention to this because we are doing this contemplation time to really get to know self, and our hidden self is where we need to place our attention, and then again repeat until it is dissolved. I think this is a really powerful opportunity of changing disempowered beliefs into really identifying where those stories come from and what is possible for us.
And repetition helps you memorize a new belief system, a new emotion with it. And so you can put a new emotion as you're pulling that old one out. You could say, I am beautiful, or whatever it is you pulled out, do the opposite. Or just say, I love myself now. I love myself now. And do the law of threes. I love myself now. And it helps you shift. Go ahead.
So in review, there are reasons why we behave the way that we do. Our beliefs influence everything. Be open to looking deeper and in order to make the changes. Most people want to move forward, and very rarely do we give ourselves permission to look behind us. But it's the anchors behind us in our mind and in our energy field that is limiting us from moving forward. And number 3, a willingness to change expands your brain to see greater possibilities.
Yeah, and we do want to expand. We want to be like the deer and shake stuff off, get rid of it, take a big deep breath and let it go. And you'll get back into your parasympathetic system where you can create.
Okay, all right, it doesn't look like, okay, so we have excellent, simple, doable truths. Thank you so much for modeling, thank you. Is there any other questions that we have tonight? I really appreciate the compassion. We're gonna go with compassion. We're gonna go with, we all tell stories, we might as well tell a really good one. Everybody was just willing to wait with ease, and it just went really well.
Yep. Thank you.
Remember, we all tell stories, and we can see that we can go through hard things.
Thank you for your patience.
Yeah.
I'm bringing this out for my throat chakra, and thank you for forgiving us for being a little late. The traffic, you know, we've had doubling of our population here in St. George, and you know, it's no excuse. I left early, but
we can do better. So go ahead, and we're going to do a blessing. And I want to, before we start the blessing, I do want to make a statement in prayer today. I felt that, I don't know, it's not this, I don't know who needs to hear this story, but I feel like I need to tell this story, that we are all going through a transformation, and yes, we know that. Yes, we know the world is going through transformation. Yes, if you've been listening and being a part of our world, you know that we're all aware that big stuff is happening. But I'm going to encourage that if you're having thoughts where you're questioning whether you should be on this planet, if you're having thoughts whether your pain is bigger than your world around you, I want you to know that we're praying for you, because whatever's going in our world, we know that it's going on around everybody. And the tribes that we need to build at this time in history is more valuable than any other time. Build the tribes of those around you. Reach out to people if you're hurting. Don't be afraid or feel shame or levels of unworthiness if you're struggling, because we all have moments of struggle. Nobody has arrived to perfection. Nobody has bypassed all of this emotion, but we do have potential. And I just want you to know that I feel emotional about this, but we love you and you matter, and we will get through this because we are doing it together. And if you have a need, please don't hesitate to reach out to somebody who is safe. And remember that you exist on this planet and it's purposeful, and that your value supersedes everything that's going on in this planet. And I really want you to hear that with love.
Yes, and I wholeheartedly agree with this. And we do have a prayer bowl where we put the names of those who call in with people that need prayers, and we put it under the pyramid of the office, and we pray over it every day that we're there. When 2 or more of you are gathered together, we will do very excellent things like Jesus taught, and even better things than Jesus did. And I wholeheartedly believe in prayer and in blessings. And so just know that we can do this for you or other members of your family or tribe. If they're having troubles, call 435-986-0025. We will write down the name, put it under the pyramid, and pray. Because prayer is powerful and blessings are powerful.
All right, blessing. You're doing the blessing.
Yeah, you better do the blessing. So here we go. And women can do blessings too. So don't just think it's a patriarchy, because we're moving into divine
we're not
feminine.
doing that. That needs to be said.
Yeah, but
I get blessings as well. So
yes.
This is just where we are.
Okay, so in the name of the Almighty, I am that I am, the creator of the multiverse, and in the name of the great divine director, the Holy Spirit of God, who told me to bless all the humans on and off planet Earth, we send a blessing to each of you and your families and your loved ones and your friends and those who are important to you. We bless you that you will speak your truth and do it with kindness and love, because when you do it with kindness and love, it will never come back at you in a negative way. We bless you that you will be filled with the Spirit of God, and that you will hear the voice of the Spirit assist you in your life through your hearing and through your voice. All of these things will come to you. We bless you that you will ask for assistance from the divine. Ask God and you will be given answers and you will hear them. We bless you that you do ask and knock and things will be opened for you. You will have new doors open for you, new opportunities. But you need to voice these things to God. Voice them so that they can be heard in the universe, in the divine. And you will receive answers, and you will receive the blessings of heaven as you do this. We bless you that you will focus on negative emotions that are not serving you. Write them down, list them, and work on the one that's holding you back the most. And this will be very beneficial for you as you get rid of these negative emotions. Your life will open up to new possibilities, new emotions that are higher vibrating, and you will move forward in your life. We bless you that you will pray for others, that you will bless others, that you will find it in your hearts to love everybody around you, even those that hate you or disturb you or are doing things against you. Ho'oponopono them by saying you love them, you forgive them, you're sorry that they're doing it, and you forgive yourself for any feelings that you've had against them. And know that your gratitude will open up the blessings of heaven to come and be received by you and your family and friends. Use these methods. Use what you are learning. Don't just set it down, but do make your list tonight and start working on the top negative emotion. And release it from your body, release it through your voice, and know that this will be so. And with the love of God, we receive the blessings of heaven, and we bless you that you'll release these emotions and develop better emotions, developing a better personality and a better personal reality. We seal these blessings upon you in the name of all the ascended beings of light and love, especially Cthulhu, Serapis Bey, Saint Germain, Jesus, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, Kuan Yin, and many others. They are here to assist and help you. Ask them to come to you, and they will assist you in all things. In the name of the Almighty, I am that I am. So be it, so it is. God bless you all, and thank you.
Thank you
For your patience.
Next week, we will be back to the regular time, and we will be working with shifting negative to positive. Thank you so much, and we hope you all have a wonderful evening.